Senator Booker. Yeah, we're good.
I cannot tell you how frustrated I am listening to the answers that you've given here that to me are utterly unacceptable. You know that there's a number of us who have served in executive positions. We have governors, county executive, as Coons has said. I ran a city during a recession, cut 25% from my workforce overall. I know what it means to do a RIF right, but this has been chaos. It has been cruelty. And your answers, frankly, have just lacked decency, as if you don't care about a lot of the employees whose lives have been destroyed after years, if not decades, of service. Now, I want to be very specific. Clearly, you're not standing up for people who've dedicated their lives to this country, but I'm going to stand up for them. And so let's talk about some of these people in real life and what you've done. A technical security specialist who just moved all of his belongings to Pakistan. He was fired as he was heading there to ensure our embassies in the region were safe. Hours after the movers left his home, he was fired, leaving a massive security gap of this administration's making. On Friday, you fired rapid response consular officers who deployed to provide emergency services for Americans overseas. The rapid response officers you fired were both actively deployed, leaving one stranded in Colombia and the other in Ankara without access to their emails or phones and without plane tickets home. The cruelty continues. One of the officers was a veteran with 24 years of federal service who had helped Americans during the Afghanistan withdrawal and the Sudan evacuation, that deserve better from you and the United States government for their service. At a time that there's a hot war in Ukraine, and President Trump is claiming to try to foster a peace agreement between Ukraine and Russia, you fired the only Ukraine intelligence analyst and Russia analyst in the Intelligence and Research Bureau. You fired the executive director of the National Authority for Chemical Weapons Convention while we are trying to get the new government in Syria to locate and destroy remaining stockpiles of chemical weapons that threaten the security of that region and us. You fired human trafficking experts, including everyone with human trafficking experience in the Middle East, North Africa, and South and Central Asia, as if that is not an urgent crisis amongst humanity and for this nation. Apart from the national security implications of all of these firings, despite the cruel way that you guys executed them, the human toll is also staggering. One of the human trafficking experts you fired, showing the level of cruelty of your actions, has a wife who was just fired by USAID. She's pregnant. And now he just got fired as well. Two people trying to start their family with no income and now even their health insurance in limbo, who gave years of service to this country. You even fired all the staff at the Office of Casualty Assistance who are charged with repatriating fallen State Department personnel and their families, including those working on behalf of employees killed in the Benghazi attacks. We have a solemn and sacred duty to bring home bodies of American citizens who die while serving their countries and helping their help their families. It's a sacred obligation. Every major corporation I know, we've talked about business sector, knows that the most valuable thing they can do is get a pipeline of talent and personnel. I've talked to CEOs who've told me they spend between 25% and a third of their time recruiting talent, but despite telling us that the recruitment office would face no cuts, on Friday you fired the entire recruitment division, lying to us and eliminating that pipeline of talent. To the civil service and foreign officers who are watching this right now, hoping they can get some justification for the chaos you've created, for the cruelty you've put into place, for the lack of decency, I'm going to tell those folks right now that we are going to stand up for each and every one of those folks and fight for them at a time that China is doubling down on their investments in diplomatic corps, trying to fill every void that we create. You are devastating our corps, hurting Americans, undermining our sacred mission as well. And again, I don't trust you, Mr. Rigas. Yesterday you said no one at Consular Affairs would be fired. That's false. Over 100 Consular Affairs officers were fired. Again, you said no one with overseas assignments would be fired. That also is not true. I have examples of employees riffed all over this country who've had orders in hands. And we were told no diplomatic security agents would be fired. And again, not true. We are the United States Senate. We have an obligation for oversight, and you showed over the House hearing that even your statements lack veracity. I'm telling you right now, we are in a crisis in this country if you won't come here and represent facts. And to demonstrate that cruelty, to demonstrate the level of chaos and lack of decency of this administration, all of these cuts are being done in the name of saving taxpayers' money, but we're not doing that. We literally are giving tax cuts to billionaires and racking up the biggest deficits in my lifetime under this leadership that does not have fiscal responsibility. And the best demonstration of that is allowing millions of pounds or thousands of pounds of food that were supposed to save the lives of thousands of human beings, paid for by taxpayers, to spoil on docks. How is that in any way human decency? How is that in any way showing what we stand for as a country, that we would rather watch food spoil on the docks, taxpayer money absolutely wasted, while children around this world are dying because of your inaction and that of your agency? Sir, you have not been truthful. You are showing a lack of decency to people who've given decades of service, veterans. You've upended families. This is not the way we operate. It is not the decency that they deserve. And I will stand up and fight you in every way to make sure that the people you have hurt get from this country what they deserve: respect and honor. Thank you.
Senator Shaheen.
Can I respond to that?
Yes, you may.
I am deeply distressed by everything you just said. It was.
I'm distressed by everything you've done, sir. I've watched you lie to this committee. I've watched you lie on the House side.
You did not.
I'm sorry, sir.
If you were here when I addressed Senator Merkley on that consular affairs statement, I told him immediately after that, the next sentence after that in my House testimony, I
What about the other
clarified
lies that I've said? I've pointed out. What about the other lies?
Diplomatic.
You want to go through them one by one?
Diplomatics, sir. Mr. Chairman, can I respond to the question?
You may respond.
We did not let go any diplomatic security personnel that were engaged in law enforcement functions. We did not let go any consular affairs personnel who were engaged in adjudicating passports. Mr. Chairman, can I answer the question, please? This is outrageous.
Senator Brooker, please let.
Sir, what is outrageous is your behavior.
So I will tell you, we gave humanitarian exceptions.
Senator, please let Mr. Rigas respond.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We let individuals who are RIF, by the way, they're still on payroll, they're still getting pay and benefits, civil servants for the next 60 days, foreign service officers for the next 120 days, and then the other individuals who had requested compassionate exceptions because of medical or family issues were granted. And I can tell you that is in stark contrast to what I experienced when I was the acting director of the Office of Personnel Management at the end of the first Trump administration, when we requested of the incoming Biden administration that appointees who were pregnant, who had babies, some in the NICU, we said, could they please, because they were legally entitled to have family and medical leave for 12 weeks, sir.
Is to blame Biden. I've heard this time and time again. It's to blame Biden.
You've never heard this before, sir, because there's never been
you're trying to delay, you're trying to deny, and you're trying to denigrate this committee by not telling the truth. Sir, I want to enter the record literally an impeachment of what he just said. May I enter into the record this document demonstrating that he did indeed fire people who were in charge of doing technical work for the security of our people overseas. You lied to this committee.
I did not,
and
sir.
I'd like to enter this into the record.
Okay, just a minute. Senator Booker, you are allowed to enter it on the record.
Thank you very much.
So if we could, Mr. Rigas, please respond, and then we're going to move on.
I pointed out 4 factual errors where you lied to this committee. Sir. I'm happy to listen if you go through each one.
As I've said repeatedly
Senator Booker,
in this committee,
thank you. I just want to allow Mr. Rigas to respond, and then Senator Shaheen then has a couple more questions.
Thank you.
We'll wrap up.
As I've said repeatedly during this committee, and maybe you weren't here to hear that testimony, obviously people were let go from their jobs. It's a reduction in force. We had 13 people who were let go. That does not mean the function that they performed was necessarily eliminated. these functions that we wanted to move forward were carried on either in a combined bureau or in another office where those redundant functions were carried out. We said diplomatic security that was conducting law enforcement, there were no reductions in that law enforcement function. Consular affairs folks who were adjudicating passports, who were doing the customer service work that we want to see continue, were not reduced or eliminated. People who were in domestic positions is where these reductions in force were done.
But sir, he's contradicting his own territory. You said that's regrettable, that there were at least 200 people that you at least showed some shred of decency.
I'm saying it's regrettable. Look, no one wants.
So you've made mistakes.
No, I'm saying,
sir. So you have made mistakes.
What I'm
made no
expressing,
mistakes,
sir,
you're literally saying you've made no mistakes.
Senator Booker, thank you. I want to, Mr. Rigas, clearly this is going to go back and forth.
Right.
Here. I'd like you to maybe to respond maybe in 30 seconds, and we'll have Senator Shaheen.
I think you should respond to questions for the record, sir.
Thank you.
I'm happy to respond
speaking
to
on the
questions.
record.
Look, look, no one wants to lay someone off. I don't think we take any joy in laying people off or any kind of reduction in force, but we have to do what's best for the mission. We have to do what's best for the organization. The department has grown by 20,000 people since 2008. We're literally we let go 1,300 people. Every single one of those is hard for those individuals, for their families. You know, I've experienced unemployment in my life. I know what that's like. It's not pleasant for anyone, but we have to put the mission first, and we have to make sure the critical functions we want to execute are going to be done, and they're going to be done with respect to taxpayers in the United States. So
I find that insulting, demeaning, degrading to the people whose lives you've upended unjustifiably.
Yeah.
To put yourself out there.
Senator Shaheen, next round of question.